Scancorla, and like many of the previous speakers, the Sinn Féin people who proposed it, and my colleagues Deputy D, Deputy Butler and Deputy Murphy O'Mahony, I want to put my total support behind what has been proposed here this evening. And indeed, I would say, in agreement with Deputy O'D, if amendments have to be made down the road, I'm sure we can all work together to ensure that changes can be made for the betterment of the bill. Indeed, I would encourage the government to let this bill go through. Withdraw your amendment, because this really is in favour of people who should get the money. Many of them part-time employees, many of them who work unsociable hours, many of them who work seasonal, and they need this money. And when I go into a restaurant and I leave a tip, I expect that tip to go directly to the people who prepared and served the meal. In fact, I'd be quite angry when I find out that that money is going elsewhere, and it shouldn't happen. And the right thing, Last Concord, to hear, the right thing this evening is to support this bill, and if we want to make amendments to improve it further down along the route, let's do it. Now, I was talking to an employer about this only last week, and she said to me she would welcome this type of bill, because it would be clearly there in black and white that the public would understand in law, in legal terms, where the money was supposed to go. And I'm sure there are a lot of people who give their tips, employers who give their tips rightly over to their staff, would welcome this type of legislation. And from this side of the House, I mean, we were the people who brought in the national minimum wage in, I think it was the year 2000, Deputy OD. And we increased it, I think, 6 or 7 times in the 10 years after that. So I'm not surprised that our side of the House would fully support what we're trying to do here this evening. There should be no interference by employers with money that is given by the customer to go to staff who I said need this money. Now, we talk a lot about electronic payments, but one thing I do myself now when I go to a restaurant is, when I get my bill and I go to pay it, I ask for an extra tin or whatever back in cash, and I give it directly to the people who have served me. Now, some of them say that they have to put it into a special little container there and it's shared out. That's fine if that's the way it's done. But certainly, I think that is one way to get over the people who fear that make it with electronic payment, that the money will never make its way back to the people it should go to. I would say here in conclusion, there are times when you need to do the right thing. And the right thing to do here, I think, for every member of this House is to support this bill and work to bring it into law as quickly as possible. As I said earlier, I think many employers would welcome the fact that it would be up there in law, and there would be little or no confusion, or people wouldn't be saying they hold the tips and they don't give it to their workers. It would be clearly there in black and white, and there would be no further confusion about it. And again, I went into a restaurant recently over in the west of Ireland last year, and I thought it was a great thing where I seen a card up, a notice up, where saying all tips given here go directly to the staff. They're in black and white in public, and I think that the public would welcome that. Minister, I would say, Minister Doherty has gone and you're representing the government here. I think the public would be very much against what the government are doing here this evening, bringing an amendment in to this particular bill that's been brought forward. And in most people's minds, it's the right thing to do. In the name of God, if somebody leaves a tip for an employee in a restaurant, for the chefs, or those who serve the meal or serve the people who are having the meal, they expect that tip to go to the staff, and that's the bottom line. Thank you.